I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it. Who are you? Not your job, not your relationship status, not the role you play for other people, not the version of yourself maybe that you even perform online, but who are you? Because here's what I've discovered after years of studying happiness, and I mean really studying it obsessively, relentlessly, is that most people have never really answered that question. So they've inherited an identity. They've been handed one, maybe by their family, by their culture, by their pain, and they've spent their entire lives defending it, protecting it, and performing it. And that inherited identity, it might be the single greatest obstacle standing between you and genuine happiness. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share changed my life completely, and I think it might have the potential to change yours as well. Now, many of you know when I was 19 years old, I tried to take my own life. I want you to hear that clearly. I'm not saying it for shock value. I'm saying it because I think it's important to understand where I was, and even more importantly, why I was there. I wasn't broken. I wasn't weak. I was a person who had built my identity entirely out of suffering. So depression wasn't something that I had. It had become something that I was. Anxiety wasn't an experience. I was moving through it. It was the lens that I saw every single moment of my life. And my pain had a name, and that name was me. So when you fuse your identity with suffering, what happens is the suffering starts to feel permanent. So it starts to feel like the truth, like the only truth. And when you can't imagine yourself existing outside of that pain, you start to believe the world is better off without you in it. I remember lying there in the hospital after my attempt, and the question that came to me, not from a book, not from a therapist, just raw and honest somewhere deep inside me, was this: what is being broken? Why is being broken the story I'm telling about myself? Why is being broken the story I'm telling about myself? That question cracked something open in me, because for the first time I realized that my identity wasn't a fact, it was a story. And if I was a story, then I could write a different one. And that was the beginning of what became a lifelong obsession with one question: what actually creates happiness? Not the fleeting kind, not the I just bought something new kind. That deep, unconditional, unshakable kind. The kind that doesn't require your circumstances to change. And what I found after years of study, after thousands of hours of research, practice, teaching, traveling all over the world, is that happiness is not something that happens to you. It's something that you build, and one of the places that you build it is with your identity. You see, here's what most people get wrong about identity. They treat identity like it's fixed. Like you're born with a self, and life is either going to confirm it or it wounds it. And your job is to protect that identity at all costs. And so what happens is that when life gets hard, when you lose the job, when your relationship ends, when your body breaks down, when the world doesn't cooperate with your plan, your whole sense of self goes with it, because you tied your identity to something outside of yourself. But here's what the science of happiness, frankly what thousands of years of wisdom teaches us. You're not your circumstances. You're not your thoughts. You're not your history. You are the awareness behind it all. Think about that for a second. Every experience you've ever had, the joy, the heartbreak, the triumph, the embarrassment, you were there for all of it. You were the one watching. You were the one experiencing. That awareness, that presence, that you that's been consistent through every chapter of your life, that's your truest identity. And nothing in the external world can touch it. Now, here's why this is so radical. And here's why this is the foundation of genuine happiness. When you stop fusing your identity with your circumstances, you stop being a victim of them. So when I was 19 and I identified as someone who's broken, every piece of evidence in my life confirmed that story. My brain was literally filtering reality to match the identity that I had. That's not a metaphor. That's neuroscience. So your brain has a system called the reticular activating system. And it has a very special job. Its job is to find evidence for what you already believe about yourself. Tell yourself you're broken, you're going to find proof of it everywhere. Tell yourself you're someone who's learning, growing, becoming. It starts finding proof of that instead. But here's the thing, and this is where most people stop. You can't just decide to have a different identity. You can't think your way into it. You can't repeat an affirmation enough times to make it stick. If your actions, your habits, your attention are all still feeding the old story. That's why I don't like affirmations. So identity is built brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. So every time you choose curiosity over shame, you're building a new identity. Every time you choose to get up and try again after you've failed for some reason, you're building a new identity. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you're building a new identity. This isn't about positivity. This isn't about pretending that life isn't hard. Life is hard. Suffering's real. I know that better than most. This is not about that. This is about deciding that you are the author, not the circumstances, not the past, not other people's opinion of you. You. So I want to talk about happiness because I think it's the most misunderstood concept in the world. We treat happiness like a destination. Like if we just get the right job, the right body, the right relationship, the right amount of money, we're going to finally arrive. Then we'll finally be allowed to feel okay. But here's the paradox. The more you chase happiness as a destination, the further away it gets. Because every time you reach the destination and the happiness fades, and it always fades, you come to the conclusion that you must need more. And so you chase harder. And you feel emptier. Genuine happiness isn't a destination. It's a way of moving through the world. So it's the happiness that exists not because everything's perfect, but because you're fundamentally at peace with who you are. Because your identity is rooted in something that can't be taken away. Because you know, not just intellectually, but in your bones that you are more than your worst days. You're more than your failures. You're more than the stories other people tell about you. So when I rebuilt my identity after 19, I didn't build it around, I'm someone who's happy, because that would have just been as fragile as I'm someone who's broken. I built it around something much more stable. I am someone who's curious. I am someone who keeps showing up. I am someone who chooses to grow. I am someone who is courageous. Those identities don't require good circumstances on external circumstances for me to stay intact. They only require a decision. And you can make that decision in the hardest moment of your life, especially in the hardest moment of your life. So I want to ask you again, who are you? Not who you were, not who you are afraid you might be, not who other people have decided you are. Who are you choosing to be right now, today, in this moment? Because that choice, that singular, powerful, deeply personal choice is the foundation of everything. It's the root from which your habits grow. It's the root from which your relationships bloom. It's the root where your happiness builds. You're not the sum of what's happened to you. You're the sum of how you've decided to respond to what's happened to you. And if you haven't made that decision consciously yet, there's no better time than right now. I spent years studying happiness because I needed to survive. And what I found is this: the path to genuine, lasting happiness isn't about adding more to your life. It's about getting radically honest about the identity you're living inside of, the story you're telling, and asking yourself whether that identity is serving you, whether that story is serving you, or whether it's simply a familiar story. Familiar is not the same as true. You deserve more than a familiar story. You deserve a true one. Start there, because everything else follows. So if this resonated with you, I want you to do one thing. Write down, right now, 3 words that describe the identity you're choosing to build. Not who you've been, who you are becoming. Put it somewhere. Put it somewhere that you'll see tomorrow morning. That's how it starts. Not with a massive transformation, but with a decision, with 3 words, with 1 moment of choosing yourself. I hope this has been helpful. Don't forget, in the description, come and do the happiness quiz. Let me teach you how to be happier. As always, I hope this has been helpful. Be kind, take care, go gently in the world.